Authority Board meeting to. Okay. We will call this the Stanislaus Regional Transit Authority Board meeting to order for Thursday, December 4th. Roll call, please.
Chair Carr,
Here.
Vice Chair Wiki, Director Condit, Director Morrow,
Here.
Director Wright, Director Wilson,
Here.
Director Withrow.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public comments. Members of the public may address the board on any item not on the agenda. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes unless the chair of the board sets a different time limit. The board cannot take action on matters not on the agenda unless the action is authorized by section 54954.2 of the government code. Do we have anybody from the public that would like to speak at this time? Do we have anybody online that would like to speak? Hearing none, we will come back to presentations. First one, we'll be doing, we have 2 recognitions for employees of the month. First one is going to be Will Starmer. I hope I said that right.
Mr. Chair, if we can maybe go to 5B, it doesn't look like the TransDev teams is here yet.
Very well, we can do that. Okay. Presentation, Transportation Development Act, Unmet Transit Needs, Stanislaus Council of Government.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Cassandra Barrientos, and I'm the Associate Transportation Planner for the Stanislaus Council of Governments. I want to thank you all for allowing me to present to you today on the Transportation Development Act Unmet Transit Needs process. To give you guys a quick definition on what an unmet transit need is, it is defined as a transportation option that people would take but is not available to them because it currently does not exist. We're really looking to identify what the mobility gaps are in our local bus service, fixed route service, micro transit service, and on-demand services. We officially kicked off our public outreach and public comment period on November 12th, and we will be opening it up all the way through January 22nd. Next slide, please. To give you guys a bit of context on the Transportation Development Act and unmet transit needs, it is a process that is done every year and required by the TDA. And the Stanislaus Council of Governments is responsible for administering the TDA funds, which is broken up into 2 different funding sources. The local transportation funds, which comes from a 1/4 cent sales tax, and the STA funds come from a gas and diesel sales tax. Next slide, please. So the requirements for the unmet transit needs process is that we are required to conduct public outreach. So we have a bunch of different presentations that we have scheduled for the upcoming months throughout the region. We are required to hold 1 public hearing, and we will be hosting one at the Stanislaus Policy Board meeting on January 21st here in this office at 6 p.m. Once we gather all the public comments after the period closes on January 22nd, we are required to write a report, and we will categorize the comments that we receive into 3 different categories that I will explain in the future slide. And then we will bring that presentation to our policy board for approval. And once we gain that approval, we will submit the report to Caltrans. Next slide, please. So in the report, we are required to define the responses that we receive, and annually we will identify the transit needs in the jurisdictions that may be reasonable to meet by either establishing or contracting for new public transportation or specialized transportation services, or by expanding the existing services. So the 3 categories that the comments will be defined and put under are: there are no unmet transit needs. 2 is that there are no unmet transit needs that are reasonable to meet. And 3, there are there are unmet transit needs, including needs that are reasonable to meet. Next slide, please. So for the outreach efforts, we have updated the StanCog website to include the unmet transit needs information that will also link people to a survey that is available in both English and Spanish. We have shared it on our social media, and we also have flyers that you guys have in front of you today with more information about what the definition of an unmet transit need is and where they can submit their comments to. We are also working with the transit agencies here in the area, such as you guys, StanRTA, Turlock Transit, and Move, to help with spreading the word and gaining public input. And we will be also attending meetings throughout the Stanislaus region to present on the unmet transit needs. So here is just a list of the upcoming presentations that we have. We officially kicked off on November 12th at the Social Service Transportation Advisory Council. We're presenting to you guys today, and we will be presenting at the Ceres and Oakdale City Council meetings in the next following weeks. And then on December 16th, we'll be at the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors, and we will host our public hearing on January 21st at the StanCog Policy Board meeting. Next slide, please. Here's what you'll see, what we'll be distributing to the public and what you have in front of you today. It's to give people an idea of what a transportation need is and give them a quick definition if they would like to submit the survey or email us with their public comments. And here is just all the different options that people have on contacting us. If they aren't tech savvy, they could always mail us in a comment or email us, give us a phone call, or visit our website for more information and links to the survey. Again, my name is Cassandra Barrientos with StanCog, and that concludes my presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Thank you very much. That was a very nice presentation. Do we have any questions or comments from the policy board? Hearing none, do we have anybody from the public that would like to?
I do have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was pulling up the survey. So can they submit anonymously?
Yes, we asked for contact information, but it's not required that they input that.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the policy board? Hearing none, do we have anybody from the public that would like to speak? Anybody online? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. That was a very nice presentation. Okay, moving on. Consent calendar. Are there any items that the policy board would like to pull at this time? Okay, hearing none from the policy board. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to pull item 6B.
6B. Okay. Any other items from the policy board? Okay. Do we have any items from the public that would like to be pulled? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I also have a comment and a request. Oh, sorry, Ron McMurtry. Comment and request for 6B as well, and I have a small comment for 6E.
6E.
Echo.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Any other items that would be like to be pulled by the public? Do we have anybody online that would like to pull an item? Nope. Okay, thank you very much. Then I will move that we accept the consent calendar items A, C, D as is.
Second.
We want to do a roll call vote or just all in favor? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Going back to item 6B, Mr. Steve.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just going to raise a small point here. Since this concerns the impact that tariffs have had on Russia's operations, and they have done all that work for us and been patient about demanding payment on those invoices, there is still some uncertainty with court cases in Washington, D.C., whether the tariffs are actually going to stand. Would it be wise to include a provision that if, so for some reason, the tariff should be ruled illegal and Russia is made whole on the tariffs that they made, that they should refund at least a part of that money back to us if we go ahead and pay for their tariff charges now? Do you think that would be something prudent to include?
So you're saying the tariffs that have been implemented currently, correct? And whether or not we should,
Well, it's a case of since there's court challenges about the tariffs right now, down the road, the tariffs could possibly be ruled as invalid, which
Right.
means the government would have to refund that tariff money back to the people who paid it. So Rush would have had to pay some of that money. So if they get refunded by the government, would it be prudent for them to be required to refund the tariff money we're paying them for them to refund it back to us?
I would say yes. Do we have any from the policy board that would like to weigh in on this? Okay. Yes, sir.
Just, I think, sounds like a great idea. Can we just add that in as a portion of this commitment?
Yes, and I think that's a great comment, Director Morrow. Thank you. We can propose that by way of the revision, the proposed amendment for Rush with that language. So if these are reversed or ruled unconstitutional, any mechanism by which Rush is reimbursed for those tariff provisions, that we would likewise be reimbursed for what we'd be providing by way of payment.
Okay. We also would like to have the record find that it's not really my idea totally. The original idea came from Mr. McMurtry. So he actually gets credit for planting the seed for this discussion. So I just want to make sure that he gets publicly recognized as well.
Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention, and it's I think, great direction that we apply staff to incorporate that in this initiative. Okay.
And that would be entirely, you said, I think you said at least partially, I would say entirely, we would be reimbursed. If
Yes.
they're reimbursed.
Yes, entirely reimbursed. Okay. From the public, you said you wanted to comment on 6B as well?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Ron McMurtry here. And as Director Moore has indicated, yeah, I noticed this item and I did look at the little, I don't know what that part is. It's the legalese. It's a short, I guess, amendment to the contract. Yeah, he's basically expressed everything except one of the issues might be that Rush Trucking, Rush Truck Company, or Rush Truck Center may not care since they got paid. So we need to put a clause in, I think, that they apply for the refund in good faith, and also how much of the contingency fund would not have been used if there weren't these tariffs. So we have to make sure we get those back minus a reasonable fee for their trouble. So that's the only thing I would add to Director Morrow. Thank you.
The policy board agree with that addition? Anybody else from the public that would like to speak on this item? Anybody online that would like to speak? Nope. Okay. Okay. Moving on to item 6E. Mr. Ron, or anybody from the policy board that would like to speak on 6E? Okay, Ron?
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. Just a small concern, which is kind of the elephant in the room right now, regarding the public participation plan. Ever since the ICE actions of late in the past few months, the Hispanic community has been running scared. And so I feel that StanRTA needs to have, I don't know if the authority needs to do it, but the staff, how to compensate for the numbers that might be a little weird because of the difficulty in reaching these folks. Because yeah, I have not noticed many of the usual folks that come to the county board meetings. For instance, they come pretty much every other time, and I haven't seen them in about 8 months. So this is causing a change in participation, and I just wonder, maybe the staff needs to brainstorm how to tweak the numbers or figure out a workaround somehow for these folks. Thank you.
Very much. Anybody else from the public that would like to speak on this item? You need to give any sort of direction to the comment that was made.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the motion would be on item 6B and 6E. And for 6B, it would be to approve with the revision as noted by the board regarding the tariffs.
So we need to go ahead and take a vote on approving that.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we would need a motion and a vote on that item. Six B and 6E, we would need a motion to approve both.
Okay.
And
thank
6B would include the amendment as stated by the board.
Okay, very much. Okay, let's see, at this time, items 6B and E, staff has been given direction on how to, on what to amend on these items. So I will accept a motion to approve items from consent calendar 6B and 6Es as amended.
I'll make the motion. So moved.
Second. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passed. Okay. For discussion, item 7A. 2025 onboard survey report. Miss Angela Swanson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm so happy to get to share the results of our 2025 annual passenger survey with you all. James has loaded it up. If we can go to the first page of the presentation. So just to introduce and remind you of it, we do this survey every year to as a requirement from the Federal Transit Administration for us to keep track of those we're serving and to gain a deeper understanding of them. We look at rider demographics as well as measure satisfaction levels when we do this annual survey. And we are now running it every September. This year we ran it September 20 through October 10. The primary field work was all done within a week's time. We had a little bit of cleanup. And we also did the commuters during their free transit week and picking up when they did customer appreciation for them. As is the general basis, when you do this kind of survey, that you create a sample that is a randomized sampling that's statistically valid at a confidence level of 95% with a 5% margin of error. That's what you'll typically see. And that required 385 surveys. We, in fact, were able to go over that number with 531 surveys. 480 of those were done in person with intercepts on buses and at the transit center with people getting on and off the bus. And then we did open it again to the public. We like to make that available for someone that may be interested in doing it, but that we don't happen to catch on the bus. And there were 51 surveys gathered that way. Just a note, to keep this valid, we weight the number of surveys taken on each bus route based on the proportion of ridership so that we keep a statistically, represent proportionately in line where the service is being given and used. Next slide. So just a couple of quick things about our ridership on our insights. Every year we skew slightly more male than female. Don't know why, but that's what we find. This year it was 53% male, a little bit up from the year prior. We had females accounted for 43% respondents, and the remaining 4% either declined to declare or identified as non-binary. We also had always the ethnicity or racial identification, and we continue to align largely with what is in Stanislaus County with what the numbers look like in the composition. In our survey, primary identification was Hispanic at just under 45%, white non-Hispanic at 40%, and Black or African American at almost 12%. Asian Americans were then the other large subgroup we had, which was just over 5%. Just to give you the comparison to the county where we're slightly different, the county's most recently available data, which was the 2023 American ACS survey update, that's the interim to the formal census, showed Hispanic population at 50% of residents, so a little higher than what our ridership count is. White non-Hispanics at just under 38%, and Asians at 6.6%, with the Black African American community at 3.7% of the population. So our ridership is a little different. Not surprising that it would be. And again, this is just a subgroup we've surveyed. But it's heartening to see that we are still largely in line with who our community's population is. It's a good measure that the sample was relatively good. On the income area, another key demographic we gather, um, we, which I didn't catch, but I'll catch it for you on here, was compared to the last 2 years, we did see a change where the poverty level came down from the respondents that we got this year. Last year, our respondents were at almost 80% fell under 35,000 a year in their reported earnings, which with a household of 4 individuals, 35,000 puts you in poverty. So that was a little bit different. This year we fell down that at a household of 4, we'd be at 56.8% of riders. Those with incomes of less than 15,000 were 39% of our survey respondents and extrapolated out to our ridership. We cannot give you, and the survey is not designed to dig deeper to find out where there's that difference, but we did see that bit of a difference. Next slide, please. So then I put together age group versus employment. Now, not that they really compare, but again, interesting kind of an insight when you look at the groups. So we continue to serve remarkably diverse groups of population with no survey group being over 20% or under 10%. So it's a really big cross section. And again, just to note, we always do our survey to align with what's provided in the census groups and how we break things down so we align with it. Our largest group of respondents were 18 and under at 19% this year. And then the smallest group were our seniors age 65 or older. What's interesting when you're looking to the left with the group is the 55 to 64-year-olds were the next group that were most surveyed and represented on our group. So you go from the 18 and unders to the nearing the end of their career folks with 16% ridership, 15% 19 to 24, 14% 25 to 34, 13% 35 to 44, and 11% 45 to 54. So an interesting thing that we see, especially now that we're working on our short range transit plan, is that we look at where are the places where we can grow ridership most readily, and it's those who are getting out of owning cars, working. The senior population maybe have limitations on their driving ability, or the youngers that aren't in a position to own and operate their own vehicle. Well, we don't really see a trend in either way that they're a primary group except with our younger riders. Now, when you look at that compared to the employment statistics, it's kind of interesting. Not surprisingly, with 18 and unders being a large portion of our population, we found students majorly fell into ages 18 to 24, but we found students in every age category that we examined and looked at. Largely 18 to 24 year olds, under 18, but a strong number throughout. So we're really seeing a strong representation throughout the group. Unemployment results, though, clustered primarily in ages 35 to 64, which again was a little surprising to us. We're used to seeing that extend. It used to extend a little bit younger in past surveys. Full-time employee group was primarily age ranges 25 to 44, and those identifying as being full-time employees were about a quarter of the respondents. So overall, what you're seeing on the right-hand side is that largest number was unemployed was the definition, and they allowed to pick just one definition to describe themselves. So unemployed was just under 30% of those that responded to our survey, 27% identified as students, 15% as full-time workers, 13% as part-time, 10% as retirees, and 5% as homemakers. And homemakers identify themselves not as senior women or men, we won't be sexist here, but it was actually like in the age range where raising families, 25 to 35. So next slide. On their transit habits. So 68% of our riders use transit 3 to 7 days per week, which really is telling you that they're going pretty much full-time on transit. This is largely unchanged from the previous year when it was 70%, so very close in number. This year, in addition to that, 68% that ride 3 to 7 days a week, another 11% ride the bus 1 to 2 times a week. So this means about 80% of our riders you would really consider to be largely, if not exclusively, transit dependent for their primary functions that they need to do in life when they're riding that often. Next slide. Fair payment, cash is king still with our riders, which really is an important indicator for us as we're looking at, do we want to go to card swipes or some of the new technologies and how people pay or use our service? And while it doesn't look that significant when you see at that top line with the green that 40% of our riders use cash, and below that was the day pass. So it's about 50%. Drop down a little bit lower to the purple and the pink bars. Those are those who ride for free, which is MJC students. 16.4% of our respondents were in that group. And youth, which are the 18 and under high school students. So combined, that's 30% of our riders. So you had over 50% pay cash and use their day pass once they've paid with cash. Another 30% ride free. Then below, the two lines below, are veterans and those that work for the county of Stanislaus or the city of Modesto, with whom they also get to ride for free. That was a total of 33%. I cross-checked this data with our ridership statistics that we keep every month. And in fiscal year 25, it was 31% after we did all the calculations that ride for free. So we have good alignment in this survey of what we're seeing for our riders. So figure 80% of riders either pay cash or they ride for free. So that tells you a lot compared to like our 31-day passes, our discounted fares, and the like. They really fall into those two categories. Next slide. Trip purpose. So we always like taking a peek at seeing, why are you riding the bus and what are we doing to serve you? This year, for the first time ever in our 4 years, shopping was the primary purpose by 0.3 percentage points, but they shop more than they went to school or went to work. But those three are always the perennial favorites of what people are doing when they're riding the bus. So again, but vital services and purposes for their use of VS. Next slide, please. So now we're taking a look at our satisfaction measures, and I put them all together because they really tell you a lot in their entirety when we look at them. So it was a broad category of questions we asked, 14 in all, really to get a feel of how happy are you with what we're providing. And that ranged from overall, how's our service? How clean are our bus stops? Is the bus driver courteous? Do we operate service on time in the right places? So having looked at those questions, a couple of key things to see overall in the big picture. Everyone was asked to rate this on a scale of 1 to 4, and they're represented in the color bars, great being the best in blue, good being in orange, fair in green, yellow is poor, and then they had the no opinion choice. It's always heartening to see how limited the yellow poor representations are on the service and the no opinion. So people were willing to weigh in. Our gold standard is that we want to be at 80% on everything when you combine great and good as a minimum. And overall, we did pretty well with that. But we did find a couple of places where we can improve. So the best was the perception of overall service, which is the bottommost line that you can see, which you can see that hits the 90% mark when you combine. So top scores with that, that's a great measure. And then the runner-up was the bus goes where it's needed, which came in at 88% overall, rated as great to good, which when you think about the unmet needs survey and what's going on right now with what StanCog is doing, this is part of why I think they get generally good feedback on unmet transit needs, because we are trying to get the buses where they need to go in our service area. But how do we do in other places? Where do we have some room for improvement? They broke up into 5 categories with 2 areas of focus. The first was, do you feel safe at a bus stop? And is the bus stop clean? And on those, we came into the high 70s. And we'll be honest with you, it is a challenge keeping bus stops safe. You've heard it several times reported at our meetings, because lighting is one of the first things you can do to make a bus stop feel safe. And we have rampant theft that goes on, that disabling our lights, whether they're stealing the lights, stealing the copper wiring, stealing the lithium batteries. It's a constant challenge to keep them well lit. And so we know and are still looking for creative and cost-effective ways that we can keep our bus stops feeling safe. And then cleanliness, even though we have a very rigorous program of cleaning bus stops and sites, we do find folks like to take advantage of them as spots for leaving their trash and doing it, so that we're constantly being the public, the community's source of cleaning. But again, we take that seriously and are going to continue to work on it. The last three areas that were identified as being under 80%, but still doing well, was our service end time, which means people would like to see us run service later at night. They were fine with us for when we start in the morning, but they wanted more service at night. And then trip length, how long you're on the bus. They'd like to see some shorter spans for where they need to go. The last was on-time performance, which that's the second from the bottom. That came in around 73%, 72%. So we're not doing poorly, but we can do better, and we know we can do better. And these three items, the trip length, the service end time, and on-time performance, have been forwarded on to our consultants that are working with us on the short-range transit plan as a reflection of at least this sample of individuals, but what they'd like to see us do to improve. Next slide. And with that, I am, on service requests. So the last couple of things that people asked for, I almost forgot to cover this piece. One, they want, they found that we do keep things safe, but they wanted to see more improvement in that. And then the service improvements, that those are identified there. Yeah, so that catches it. Slide. And I'm happy to take any questions on the results of the annual survey.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Do we have any questions or comments from the policy board?
Question.
Yes, sir.
On the sanitation,
Yes.
on the 4, are you able to identify the route?
Yes, we are. We've cross-referenced it and looked at the various routes where they're finding poor.
That a particular route that you're seeing a lot of that?
Where we see, where I noticed a lot of it's all over the place, but where I did see was when we were looking at bus stop cleanliness. And a lot of the challenges actually are on our most highly trafficked routes, like along McHenry, where we do the frequent cleaning. But where we also have challenges with people that will sleep and occupy, and that feeling of safety at the bus stops as well. We'll have homeless that will kind of encamp themselves at the bus stops. So it was actually in our more urbanized areas where we saw cleanliness as a challenge, the routes coming down McHenry, as well as in the airport area.
And does our drivers have someone to contact if somebody's sleeping or?
Yes, they do. And in fact, in our cleaning crews that are out regularly, will call in and report that to have the police help them to get a person to camp from the site.
And if it's in the city of Modesto, are they coordinating with chat or the police department?
Oh, what? That's a question that would go on to the operations team. Simon, would you like to pick up on that?
It would definitely be with the PD.
Good.
Any other questions from the policy board?
Yes, I'm just curious, with a 31-day pass, do we know about what's the discount rate on that about?
50%.
So,
Well, no, you mean that compared to the full price
Yeah.
fare. Now that, I'd have to look to someone else to have that answer. Is about 20%?
Sure, I didn't quite hear the question though.
yeah, so I'm asking the question because if most folks are paying in cash, which is 40%, and they're using it 3 to 7 days a week at 68%, it would be in their best interest to buy the 31-day pass and have a discounted rate.
Oh, yeah.
So is
for
there
sure.
anything that we're sharing with those folks who are in this percentage to say you'll get a discount if you purchase the 31-day pass or 7-day pass? But it's high numbers, but they could be saving money if they were given that information.
True. Yeah, it is cheaper to buy the 31-day pass. It's less cheaper to buy the 7-day pass. The most expensive way is the full fare on the bus with cash. We definitely want to get people, to use the discount passes, and they know they're there, but you can't buy them on the bus. You have to buy them from customer service.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Just a couple quick questions, Angela. Thank you. Great presentation. Appreciate you doing this. I didn't realize it, but so county and city, Modesto city employees get to ride for free.
Yes.
but no other city employees get the,
That, the program is not extended to any other communities in the county.
okay, I just think we should probably, they're all partners. Why does just the city and the county get a, just something to think about?
It is something that I think we've included in the next grant that we have for that provides the funds for this, for the city of Modesto and county employees. It was prior grants that we had inherited from Modesto and from the county that were specific for those groups of people. But yeah, we'll definitely move forward with everybody.
Very good. Then the other thing, it'd be great to see comparisons. I'm just wondering how these results stack up against last year's result.
Absolutely, we'll do that,
Yeah.
the next time we do a report. Some of it I'd looked up,
Just to kind of see
just
where we
to see
were.
a little bit where we're changing.
Yeah, and I would hope in the public safety, I would hope would be better this time versus last time, since we've kind of changed the way we're doing that with our deputies versus.
And I think we'll see that next September. When we did this, we had really only just started. And of
Yeah.
course, we were already making a difference, but people are kind of sharing, have a longer memory at that point about how feeling troubled than not.
Perfect, yeah. So, I mean, the results for the most part look great. It'd just be great to see, yeah, they look greater than last year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments from the policy board? Hearing none, do we have anybody from the public that would like to speak on this item? Yes, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ron McMurtry again. Thank you, Ms. Swanson, for your presentation. I don't envy you the job of crunching all those numbers. Okay, so I want to thank you for separating. Last time the survey had, did you want later or earlier, all as one item? And I noticed you did separate those. So thank you for doing that, because I think it's fair to say that the people who want earlier do that for a different reason than people who want later. I'm one of the early ones, so sorry it's not going my way. My other thing is that your gender demographic, more men, and I had not realized how apprehensive some of the women may have been, and maybe particularly young women on the bus. And so I'm wondering if you need to maybe take a look at, since now you're using the sheriff's department for security, that there might be some kind of small outreach focusing on girls and women to let them know. I don't know what you can do about the bus stops, because from what you've said right now, we're dealing with jurisdictions. The Modesto Police has to deal with this stop. The sheriff would deal with that stop. Newman Police this stop, whatever. So I don't know how you would. I guess you'd have to do a little bit more coordinating with these police departments about tightening up, and maybe, having some patrols, posted at a couple places, like the bus stop on Prescott and Mount Vernon that gets vandalized often. You probably already know. So, can the police post and try to catch these folks or whatever? I don't know. I'm just like, I wish you could do an outreach where you could stand behind your words, but I feel we're not certain because of the various police jurisdictions. Yeah, so outreach for women. And then, yeah, okay, that covers it. I did talk about the bus stop. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have anybody else from the public that would like to speak on this item? Hearing none. Do we have anybody online that would like to speak? At this time, I will bring it back. We will need a motion to accept the 2025 onboard survey report.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 7B, fiscal year end 2024-2025 financial update. Ms. Ortiz.
I'll actually be presenting today. My name is Nicole
Okay,
Hensley. I'm
thank
the
you.
financial analyst for StanRTA. Good afternoon, Chair Carr and directors of the board. Today, I'll be presenting fiscal year 2024-25 quarter 4 update. Next slide, please. This first slide represents all operational expenditures for fiscal year 24-25 by classification. These expenditures totaled approximately $43.6 million. As you can see, our operations contract with TransDev made up most of our expenditures for the year at 65.3%. Maintenance, parts, materials, and fuel combined were the next highest at a total of 21.6%, which is about $9.4 million. Next slide, please. Our operations expenditures, which includes fixed route demand response and commuter bus services, were 94%, which is about 42.2 million of our $44.9 million budget. Revenues for the fiscal year are 93.4% or 41.9 million of our 44.9 million dollar budget. If we look a little more closely at some of the specific accounts, we did have some overages. Other employee expense ended at 239.1% of our budget. This was due to the purchase of Dave Ramsey's Smart Dollar financial wellness software for employees' use, personal use. Our workers' compensation and liability insurance expenses ended at 120.1% of its annual budget. As we've mentioned in prior updates, this is due to the GSRMA pool member claims and agency payroll. Professional services expenses ended at 146.3% of its annual budget. This was largely due to the MOVE services contract, which was not budgeted for the year, and mobility security services through American Guard Services used to keep our transit center and bus stop safe. Software internal services expenses were 145.7% of its budget. This is due to higher than expected expenses for a few softwares, but the largest ones were TransTrack and AccuFund, which is our financial software, their maintenance and support services. We did have budget savings and annual license for software, which are non-assets, which covers that overage. Next slide, please. Here you can see facilities and rideshare year-end expenses. Our transit center expenditures for the fiscal year were 1 million or 92.9% of its adopted budget. There's two accounts I wanted to highlight. Computer and IT equipment non-asset expenditures were at 289.2% of its budget, and this was mostly due to the purchase of indoor dome cameras to improve safety at the transit center. And also printing and binding services expenditures were at 225.8% of its budget. This was due to the printing of code of conduct signage to deter negative behavior at the transit center. Amtrak station ended at 68.9% of its adopted budget. Those reduced expenditures for the fiscal year are primarily due to the City of Modesto's monthly credit for maintenance and use by the San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority. We also discontinued security services at the Amtrak station, which resulted in further savings. And finally, rideshare expenditures were 84.1% of its adopted budget. The reduced expenditures were attributed to the reduction in the allocation of internal services to the rideshare program. Next slide. Thank you for your time and attention. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Do we have anybody from the policy board that would like to ask questions or have comments on this item?
Just a couple quick questions. Just, I mean, I noticed a big, going back through the, the details, sorry, rather than
No, that's fine.
charts and stuff, the actual financials here. So TransDev, just help me understand are all these expenses, we don't just write a check to TransDev straight out, do we? All these expenses are run through, how does this, I'm just trying to figure out.
To pay TransDev,
Right, exactly.
they send us a monthly invoice, yeah. And it's reviewed by the Director of Operations. I also review to make sure the numbers are correct.
Okay, and is that a single line in here or
It would be the purchase transportation, so 6710.
account 710?
6710.
10. Okay.
So for the year, it's 28.5 million, and for the quarter, 9.3.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, I was just wondering where that was at. And so, then as far as salaries that we have here, under the operations side of it, those salaries versus TransDev salaries, is that right? TransDev salaries?
We don't pay specific TransDev employee salaries. It's just for StanRTA employees.
Perfect. Okay, so that's built into their number where we budgeted 29 million and 28.
Correct.
All that is built into
Yeah.
theirs, okay. So then on our side, we just, as far as the budgeting part of that, we were budgeted way over versus, do we have a lot of vacancies? Or I'm just wondering why the almost 600,000 less in salaries?
We did have a budget, or we did have one position allocated that hasn't been filled yet, which has resulted in some savings. Adam and Letty might have more information about that, but we did have one position that was budgeted for but not filled.
Yeah, just, I'm just thinking we missed it by whatever that is, 25% or so.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, is it because we have, why'd we miss it?
Letty, did you have any comments?
Sorry, Lenny.
We did have to just, we did have one vacancy, which obviously doesn't make up the 600,000, but we also had some savings in retirement that we overestimated on our retirement side, so we did have some savings there.
And that was all, Letty, that's perfect. So that was all built into that.
Correct.
Salaries and wages
Yes.
was fully burdened salaries and wages.
Correct. And then we had also some savings on, for the health benefits. So when we had the vacancy, we also filled in all of the other fringe benefits that come with it.
Okay.
We have the retirement, the health benefits.
Perfect. Okay, good. So it kind of looks like just all in all, we ended up, under budget. I mean, versus, but just want to make sure that we're not so, with our budget that we're not coming in high so that there's the, that we have the budget come out close to where we actually end up. It's always better to come out under budget, but just, yeah. Okay, very good. Thank you, guys. Good job.
Any other questions or comments from the policy board? Hearing none, do we have anybody from the public that would like to speak on this item? Okay, do we have anybody online? Great. This was an informational item, so we won't need any action. With that, we have information items. I'll let the policy board review those at their leisure. Moving on to the CEO report.
He's going to pull it up for me. One thing I wanted to start off with, though, that's not in my presentation, is that we closed on the land yesterday. So it's officially done and recorded, and StanRTA is the property owner now. So it's great. Congratulations, and it's awesome to make progress in this effort to get a new facility. So thank you to the entire team that has made that happen, especially Angela Swanson, who really was a lead effort to make it happen. So awesome job, Angela.
What will be the next step after this?
We are out to bid right now for a design consultant to do the full design. We have done the master planning, and so we hope, if all goes well, to come back to the board in January with the award the design consultant to do the full design. And we're still going after some grants as well to fund. We have some funds, we're just not fully funded. So more to come, but yeah, we're making progress. So this is great.
Thank you very much for the update and for all the work that you and the staff has put in to bring this to where we are today. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. So move on, go to the next slide, James. At each of your locations, we've done an annual report for the last fiscal year, and it's a printed version that I wanted you all to have, and includes some good information about the statistics of the organization, budget, and ridership, and so on and so forth. So feel free to take a gander at the annual report. Next slide. As you may be aware, we are in a free ride period for the whole month of December. That's for all modes across the boards, fixed route, ADA paratransit, commuter bus, everything. It's free for the month. So we're using the low carbon transit operations program grant for that program, and it's always well received. Next slide, please. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, kind of much together, we decorated the bus for the Celebration of Lights Parade in Modesto. That is on Saturday. So there's a picture of the team from yesterday that helped decorate the bus, which is great. So thank you for everybody that made that possible, and you'll be able to see the bus in the parade this weekend. And the bus will be in the Riverbank Parade next weekend. So next Saturday, I believe it is as well. So we're in two different parades, which is awesome.
Are you using the bus with Jenny's picture on?
It is not Jenny's bus this year. It wasn't available, but it is, it's actually the bus for Darlene Almeida, who is a driver who recently passed away about a year ago, who was a driver for 40 years. So, so that's great too. And lastly, the short-range transit plan, we are in the beginnings of that. The consultants have been here in the last few weeks doing some public meetings and talking with staff about all the changes that we are looking at, seeing what we need to do. I just want to make the board aware there's 2 more meetings next week. Just want to make you aware of them. Next week on the 10th, Wednesday the 10th, an in-person meeting at the TC in the evening time. And then on December 11th, virtual meeting via Zoom. And so that will, I think these 2 meetings will conclude the efforts for this beginning phase of the public participation. The consultants are going to go back and look at options and seeing what they can do as they analyze all the data and the feedback, and will come back to us with ideas and to further the plan. And definitely want to thank Simon and the entire team that's made this happen as well. It's taken a team effort and great work. So thank you for that. And I think that's it. Next slide. That's it. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Director's reports. Do we have anybody from the policy board? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The point I would like to basically raise is that earlier this quarter, we had some real tough times with call-offs, and scheduling was really affected because you get call-offs at the beginning of the day, and that louses up the whole day's schedule as you're trying to scramble. That is getting better, so we seem to be back on track there. The other thing refers to the issue that we had with, and I wanted to ask a question about trying to nail down a hydrogen contractor with our hydrogen-fueled buses due in next year. Are we making any headway on solving that issue so we can get these buses, get them fueled, and get them out on the street? Basically, all
The hydrogen fueling, we did have to pull back the award of the hydrogen fueling due to some contract issues. So it's back out to bid. Simon, correct me if I'm wrong, is it out? I think it's out to bid right now, or Letty? It is out to bid right now. So we hope that we'll be able to get the fuel here in time. The buses are due here to be put on the road in March-ish. But if we need to delay because we don't have fuel, we'll need to delay that. But the buses are on. Buses I think are going to be on the line to be built here in the next week or two. They'll start to be on the line. So we know it's an issue, and we're doing our best to get the fuel here.
All right, good. Excuse me. Okay, thank you.
I'll go ahead and piggyback on that. Recently attended the transit conference in Long Beach, and the hydrogen issue was a big topic down there. In talking to a lot of the vendors, the big issue is the transfer issue, where they're shipping in the hydrogen, whether it's liquid or gas, and before it gets to the bus, the users are losing a large quantity. Over a year ago, I heard the loss was between 40 and 50%, but yet the transit operators are still being charged for the full amount. So in, I guess, my due diligence, I was asking the vendors, they were all saying, hey, we need to come talk to you about fueling your hydrogen buses. And I would turn around to them and say, have you resolved the transfer issue? And the short answer is to a point. They've gotten it down from 40% to 5%. But that's still, in my book, way too much for what the operators are having to pay for, which also led into my other question. Are you issuing contracts where the users, the operators, are only paying for what they use? The answer was no. So basically, I walked away thinking until they get those 2 issues resolved, we have to be very diligent on how we fuel our hydrogen buses, make sure we're getting the best financial quantity that we can so that we don't have any large losses that may affect the fares we have to charge our riders. I think that would just be completely unfair. So going back, hydrogen is a big issue. It is much larger right now in this current state than electric buses. But yeah, we have things we have to look at. So I hope that helps your concern. Okay. Any other questions or comments from Policy Board?
Just real quick, we just had a meeting, Adam and I, that we had a Stanislaus State student that had a project that she had to do, and somebody that I'd known from before, and it had to do with a lot of, with regard to our routes and serving the disadvantaged communities. So I didn't want to handle it myself, so I got Adam to come too for the meeting, and it was just great. I think she walked out of it. Her and some of her fellow students had driven around, obviously the county in different areas, and had all kinds of concerns and stuff. But I think by the time she walked out of there and saw, the due diligence, how hard we work to come up with these routes and everything we're trying to do to try to serve, because that's what really our buses do serve, is our disadvantaged communities. And so I think she walked out of it with a whole different idea as far as it came in there a little bit with it, not an attitude, but just a little bit like, you're not doing your job. And I think she walked out of there, and I felt very, very good about after we went through all this stuff with her, to show that this is what we do. This is why we're here, is to serve our disadvantaged community, and it's that important to us. And so, anyway, it was just a good, feel-good meeting for me afterwards, and I think she felt much better too, and hopefully takes that back and reports that back to her professor.
Any other comments from Policy Board? Yes, ma'am.
I'll just want to say thank you for StanRTA again for coming out to MJC to our Pride Education Conference. I think I just missed you, Adam, when you came by there, but thank you for tabling for that day. Appreciate it.
Any other comments? I'm going to continue with the transit conference I attended. A couple other issues that, or at least one other that really jumped out at me that seems to be not just a localized issue, but it's throughout the state, and I'm sure throughout the country, is violence against our drivers. And it is becoming more widespread. And I feel that our drivers do not need that. They are doing a required job, and they need to feel safe. They need to feel protected. That being said, I'm glad that we now have sheriff's deputies on some of the buses to help protect and preclude any violence that may start to erupt. But it's still going to be an issue that I think we need to continue to look at, stay on top of. Because in my mind, we have some of the best drivers in the state, and they need our help to do their jobs every single day. So we'll keep up on that. And finally, I just want to thank the entire StanRTA organization, staff. You guys do an outstanding job keeping this organization running. We can provide direction, but we don't run the organization. So thank you for all your help, all your diligence, everything you do every single day. Ms. Valerie, thank you for all you do, all your help getting this ready and having everything prepared. But again, the entire staff, drivers, the office staff, the directors, the bosses, everybody, thank you very much for all you do. This organization couldn't be as well known as it is. So thank you very much. No other comments? With that, we will adjourn into closed session. Okay, we've returned from closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The board has returned from closed session. The directors, Director Ricky, Director Wright, Director Withrow, Director Morrow, and Director Wilson participated in the closed session. All were present for the duration. Director Carr did not participate in the closed session, and there is no reportable action.
Thank you very much. Our next regular meeting is Thursday, January 22nd. I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, and we are adjourned.